Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Slay It with a Diamond by Rob Bates. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Mimi Rosen had long been jealous of Rosalind Lowry. She never liked to admit it, but she was. Mimi didn't like being competitive. It made her feel small and petty. Besides, Mimi couldn't compete with Rosalind Lowry. Rosalind was too far ahead of her. Her former newspaper colleague had just been promoted to deputy editor at The Look, the widely followed and feared fashion Bible. Rosalind's husband was the CEO of Lowry, the world-renowned, century-old, ultra-high-end jeweler. Rosalind had money, a husband, and a prestigious job. Mimi had none of those things. So when Rosalind said she wanted to stop by Mimi's father's office to sell a diamond, Mimi flew into a panic. The Max Rosen Diamond Company was a rundown mess. The office hadn't gotten any TLC since Mimi's mom died a few years ago. The carpet was frayed. Its brown wood-paneled walls were aged and peeling. Every desk was drowning in papers. Mimi cringed, thinking how it must compare to the digs at Lowry or The Look. It wasn't even as nice as their old newspaper. In the 2 years Mimi had worked at her father's office, she'd always wanted to fix up the place, but she had never found the time, and her father was dead set against it. When you're in the diamond business, Max would say, you don't want your place to look too nice because then people will think you have a lot of money and they'll try and take you. Since then, Mimi had seen plenty of well-maintained diamond offices. Her father just kept his a mess because that was how he had always done it, which was why he did most things. With Rosalind on her way, Mimi hurriedly grabbed stacks of paper from the desktops and dropped them into drawers, which wasn't easy since most of the drawers were already filled to the brim. Be careful with that stuff, Max yelled, adjusting the yarmulke on his bald head. He was dressed in his standard outfit, a white button-down shirt and brown wool pants. There could be important things in there. I need to go through it all. If they're so important, why are they lying around? Mimi asked. Max ignored this. Well, what's with this sudden urge to clean up? Who are you expecting, royalty? When Mimi said it was a member of the Lowry family, Max's mouth formed a circle. Then he sprang from his chair and helped with the cleaning. There weren't that many jewelry names that impressed Max, but Lowry was one of them. Lowry wasn't just any century-old jeweler. It was an institution. Magazines called it the store everyone dreams of entering, and its salespeople were so notorious for being stuffy, it was nicknamed Glowry. Its 57th Street flagship resembled a creamy limestone castle, complete with Lowry flag on top, marking its territory. As they frantically tidied up, Mimi told her father, Rosalind and I used to work together at the West Jersey Metro. She's now the deputy editor of The Look. I'm hoping she'll give me some freelance work. She's coming over to sell a diamond. I'm asking you, please be open-minded about what she has to offer. Obviously, you have to do what's right for your business, but if she has something nice for sale, I hope that you, she flapped her hands, consider buying it. Max stopped cleaning and staring at his daughter. Basically, you're asking me to buy whatever she's selling so she'll give you work. No, Mimi said. I would never. Max cut her off. It's fine. I'll look at what she has as I would with any private. He pinched his forehead. But this seems strange to me. Why is she trying to sell me a diamond when her husband's the head of a major jeweler? That was something Mimi wondered about, too. It was a good question. Rosalind swept into the office 20 minutes later, wearing a clingy orange dress topped with a leather jacket. It was an expertly calibrated mix of hip and elegant, perfect for a cool fall day. Her hair was a buttery brown, not the bleach blonde Mimi remembered. A thick gold chain hung around her neck. While Rosalind was close to Mimi's height, 5'4", she wore glitzy heels that made her look taller. Mimi was impressed with how she walked without wobbling. Mimi's outfit, on the other hand, consisted of nondescript flats and a plain brown dress she'd bought at Kohl's because her father insisted everyone wear business attire around the office. This was the first time she felt grateful for that policy. Mimi had cut her brown hair short after months of growing it long. It looked fine. Rosalind's looked better. Rosalind gave Mimi a perfunctory hug, said it was great to see her, and suggested they should do lunch sometime, none of which Mimi took seriously. Mimi sat on a chair facing her father's cluttered desk. Rosalind didn't place her Birkin bag on the floor, but clutched it to her side. So, Max said, my daughter said you work at the Fashion Bible. I guess that means you work for God. Mimi wanted to scream. Her dad was making dad jokes. I work directly under Eloise, Rosalind said. She used the famed editor's first name as if the whole world would recognize it. Mimi knew who she was. Her father just nodded. Mimi also said you're part of the Lowry family. They've built a sensational business over there. Yes, Rosalind said. My husband's grandfather founded the company. As Rosalind talked, Mimi could hear her old New Jersey accent bubble up occasionally, only to be quickly submerged. Mimi couldn't stop staring at her shoes. They appeared purple, or maybe pink, or mauve, or some weird blend of all three. Mimi spotted something shiny on their bottoms. Was it a gemstone? Even someone connected to the Lowry jewelry empire wouldn't have gemstones under their shoes, would they? Rosalind apparently sensed Mimi's interest. She crossed and uncrossed her legs and swung her shoes back and forth, continually bringing them into view. They were probably some Italian brand whose name Mimi couldn't pronounce, though she had made a mental note to hunt for knockoffs on eBay. Then came the question Mimi dreaded. So, Mimi, Rosalind asked, what have you been up to? Mimi stammered a bit. For the past few years, I've worked here. You know how it is with editorial jobs these days. Mimi hoped that it would be a hint since she'd reached out to Rosalind looking for work. Rosalind didn't react. I'm working on this cool new project, Mimi continued. We're responsibly sourcing diamonds from the African Democratic Republic. Sounds great, Rosalind responded without much conviction. And how's your husband? Oh, we divorced 3 years ago. Mimi thought she'd told Rosalind that in an old Facebook exchange, but the Looks deputy editor can't be expected to remember everything. I'm now dating a police detective. Really? Rosalind recrossed her legs. How'd you meet him? It just kind of happened. I was investigating this murder and... Hold it, Rosalind squinted. You investigated a murder? Well, yeah, I've investigated two. As a reporter, Rosalind asked. No, on my own. Mimi never liked mentioning she solved 2 murders. Nobody ever believed her. It's a long story. We definitely need to get together and catch up. Anyway, Rosalind's voice became businesslike. Let's discuss my diamond. She reached into her purse and pulled out a yellow velour gold-trimmed box with the Lowry logo embossed on top. She lifted the cover to reveal a heart-shaped brooch which held a black diamond. Max's brow knitted. A black diamond, huh? In the trade, they're called carbonados. They're what we dealers call a specialty item. That means no one wants to buy them. Not that they're ugly necessarily, but they're brittle, and a lot of them don't reflect light very well. Only the real nice ones are desirable. This is a nice one, Rosalind declared. A really nice one. She removed the diamond from the brooch. It was a pear-shaped, though it looked more like a dark teardrop. When Max angled the diamond's table under his viewing lamp, light burst from its surface and it gleamed like the outside of a Porsche. It is nice, Max said. As he examined it, his hands trembled slightly. Even after decades in the industry, he still got excited by nice diamonds. It has a good make, he said, meaning the diamond was well cut. How much is it worth? Rosalind asked. It's hard to say, Max said, peering at it through a jeweler's loupe. Has it been treated? That means, has any irradiation been done to improve its color? Yes, I know what that means, Rosalind said. Remember, I'm a Lowry. I hear about this stuff all day. No, it hasn't been treated. Here's its cert. She reached into her pocketbook and pulled out a yellowed grading report. Impressive, Max said, scanning the paper through his spectacles. It says it's 3 carats and internally flawless. That's one of Lowry's mottos, never less than flawless, Rosalind said. Every stone must be perfect clarity. She glanced around the room, then leaned in conspiratorially. Though lately, the company's been selling BBS ones. Sorry to hear you're slumming, Max said. He turned his attention to the gold heart-shaped brooch which held the diamond. What's this? Rosalind covered it with her hand. Don't worry about the brooch. I'm having it melted down for scrap. What's it supposed to be? Max said. A stylized heart, Rosalind said. Max shrugged. Looks like a tuchus. Mimi was mortified. Her father had just compared Rosalind's brooch to a butt. She hoped that he'd buy the diamond, otherwise she could kiss getting an assignment from the look goodbye. Max spent another minute examining both the diamond and the report, then swiveled his chair toward his computer. I'll check the biggest trading website for similar stones. A sea of numbers, letters, and values appeared on screen. Mimi and Rosalind watched as Max narrowed down list after list. He angled the screen toward them. This kind of item is super rare. I can't find any comparable sales for a black stone of this quality. The closest was a 5-carater that sold for about $32,000 a year ago. And while that was a larger stone, it had a weaker color. He thought a bit. How does $20,000 sound? From everything I hear about this type of stone, color matters as much as size, said Rosalind. I think $30,000 is a much fairer price. Max looked startled by this sudden burst of negotiating savvy. His glasses bumped up and down on his nose. Let's meet in the middle, he said. 25. Fine. Before we shake on a deal here, I need to ask you something, Max said, his forehead suddenly full of lines. Your husband is the head of Lowry. That's a big company. Doesn't he have trade contracts that he can sell this to? Rosalind's features tightened. My husband doesn't know I'm selling this. Max peered at her. Do you mind if I ask why? Rosalind fidgeted in her chair. The conversation was clearly wandering into uncomfortable territory. Her polish was cracking. Remember how Mimi just called something a long story? This is even longer. Max put the diamond back on the papers and pushed them away. I'll be honest, you seem like a perfectly nice person, but I find this strange. It seems like you want to get rid of this stone very quickly. Normally that's a red flag, and I would cancel the sale immediately. But since you come from a good family and you're a friend of Mimi's, I'll give you a chance to explain why you're so anxious to unload this thing. Mimi reddened. Why did her father have to be so blunt all the time? Though she had to admit he had a point. Rosalind was quiet for a second. I do have a reason, but you may not believe it. She clumped on the chair, and her fancy shoes clomped on the floor. The diamond is cursed. Max hunched forward. You're joking, right? Rosalind shook her head. She wasn't.